Round 3 has come to a close, and as the thumbnail somewhat spoils, the Red Bulls are our winners for this round of bridges. This lovely, lovely statue was built by Flubtubs. Knocked this one out. It was just this bull rushing out of this portal. A little bit abstract. It works better if you stand a little bit further back, but just really lovely. I love the little touch of the eyes and the horns and all this fire coming out of the portal. Very cool build. So this is a lovely little memorial on our trophy island for that team. Now, you may or may not notice that the point totals are actually really, really similar to what they were when we were looking at day 16. Last round, we had the Pointpocalypse of everybody losing out massive, massive amount of points, but that's not did not happen this round because as mods we went ahead and took a different approach this time, where in advance of the end of the game, we did all of our checks and our mod ratings and reached out to all the teams, said, hey, this part's disconnected. Hey, this floor is not quite taken, and made sure that all those discrepancies got worked out in advance, so that right at the end there was just kind of like tiny little things, maybe off by 1 or 2 points from what they had been expecting, but otherwise the points stayed much the same, and we had a much more successful finish this round, which I'm really happy about. But let's get into talking over the team builds as well as how they went about and got this win. Starting over here with the orange team, L cubed. They did not have a new build for this round, but at the same time, by some stroke of odd chance, Alliteration was actually on the orange team in the first round and was one of the people that built this pagoda in the first place. So maybe they felt, hey, this is already my build. I'm already happy with it. It sticks around. So nothing too crazy coming in for that. Humble Bumbles added their lovely little Pooh Bear, eating some honey out of this honeycomb from the previous builds. You also have these previous honeycombs and little bees. Also, a little joke build coming in from the Evergreens. I don't know if that'll stick around for next round. It is very high quality, so people might want to keep it just for fun. But it can always those joke builds can get taken away. No big deal. Um, we have the Evergreens finished off this amazing build. I knew it looked a little bit like partially incomplete, so they add in all the foliage and got proper full big trees. These are really lovely, really great shape and colors and like amount of foliage. Trying to figure out how much greenery to put in between is tough. It's a tough call to like show off the tree, but also show off the leaves. So it's just a blob. So really cool, really well done by them. Also, their cute little treehouse build where you just got a little cozy spot. It's great. Looks a little bit weird. Sorry, I replaced all the glass. Part of the thing I do. Coming over here to the Whoa Nessie team. The monster here was already here. Got a little fancy mustache as well as these little happy little peeps, little ducklings as friends to join him as the party, as well as coming in the last couple of days. We had this really cool. Just break those up. Used to be ladders. We have this really cool yellow submarine, which is just a fun little build to add in to this kind of water themed of like, oh, we're going exploring with the monster together. So crazy sea monster and friends and even more friends in the little submarine. So really love this build. I think it's tough to add on to a build that's this massive, and I think they've done a great job of just putting in details to make it fill out a little more. Coming over to Team Mushroom Mayhem, they have this lovely mushroom, of course, really cool, as well as I've shown previously. This interior clubhouse is just really, really nicely decorated. A lot of thought went into the details of this. Like it's one thing to do a big build, and it's another thing to do a big and the small build inside. So really great by them. And of course, our victors, the Red Bulls, have this amazing bull statue to add into the menagerie of red animals over here. We'll see what the red team for next round has to, what red animals they can think of to add into next, or maybe we'll just get like red elephants or something. Who knows? But yeah, really cool theme, really well built into the theme, and congratulations to them as winning. So let's start taking a look at our scores and how they came about to this finish. Red Bulls came in first with 134 points, which is a really great score. I think that's better than last round by just a slight amount. So a little bit improvement. They got away with this massive, massive grid in the center. And I mean, I think as soon as I was looking at this on day 4, I saw they claimed up to here. I just thought if they get this whole thing, they gotta win, right? Like this is just a massive, massive amount of points. Most of these towers have ladders. There's like only 2 that don't. They're white towers, which give the extra points for the cap points on top are worth more in the white towers, and the grays are your own color area. And so just because nobody messed with them, they gotta just perp build whatever they want, wherever they want here, and of course that gets them into their victory. But still, well done by them to be bold enough to jump for that strategy, and then also to figure out all the interconnections and make sure that this is all efficiently taken. This is a massive mess of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to figure out. It can be very confusing if you're not on top of stuff. Um, so congratulations to them. Really great play. Really great boldness and decisiveness. They did great. Um, Magenta team, Mushroom Mayhem, came in second, and they did what previous winners have done, which was their neighbors rushed for the center. So you can see like Cyan and Red were both in the center. So they just said, hey, we'll play along the edge here. We'll take this whole area. And so they get to take advantage of all these ladder towers. There's a couple with 2 ladders in them, which are just like 2 ladder fort high is just really, really good sweet spot for points value. Um, so yeah, they took advantage of this. It wasn't quite enough to get them over the hump to beat the whole center that Red was able to take, but they did get really really solid points and really well played to string all these together. In a sense, it's a little harder to play on the edge here because you're trying to like skip over things you don't need and only get to the things that you do need, like one after the other, one after the other, and it's really important to be able to put all these into one big line. So it's a really good job on them to do that. And so then looking into our tied third place, we had yellow team and the blue team, 1SE and the Humble Bumbles. And so here, yeah, they also kind of basically were doing variations of what first and second place were doing, but just slightly not quite as efficient. So, we had a couple of floors in here that didn't end up getting taken, and a couple, like a tower over here that didn't have a ladder in it. So I think there's a couple small inefficiencies that just put them that much bar behind. But honestly, they were very close. Like these point gap is not a big point gap, and so 126 points for both blue and yellow teams. So not 128. But anyways, those were tied there, and so it's like the point gap was really really close between them in first place, and so just a small amount of more efficient, small amount of like slightly more carefully done, and they could have also been here in first and second place. So there's really tight margins in this, and they both played really well. Humble Bumbles had this craziness happening over here, but they didn't lose out anything for this. So even though some slight stuff got taken, this tower got taken away from them. There's like a couple little like ladder or bridges in here that didn't matter too much, but at the same time, the rest of their stuff was generally quite efficient, and they kind of just played here along the edge and got solid points for it. Um, Looking over to our Evergreen team, they played pretty decently. I think they'd had a really great play pushing into the center here. Just really unfortunate they got attacked by a yellow, and then kind of a little unfortunate. I think it seemed like they had a little bit of like indecisiveness on like which direction they were going, and so they kind of ended up a little bit more spread out than they'd like, as opposed to if they like only gone to the center or only played over on this side or only played over in yellow. By splitting up this much, they kind of had a little bit of extra bridge infrastructure, so not quite as perfect, but still pretty well played by them, and great game. Orange team, I think, kind of got in a really unfortunate situation where yellow pushed in on the sides. They wanted to come in and reinforce this, but then their only ladder to the fourth floor was all the way over here, or like potentially like maybe over here. Um, but yeah, basically just like they got in a really awkward spot where they ended up having to take a lot of towers in their own area to try and defend this, and so it's kind of just like a bit of like ladder RNG and then a little bit of like indecisiveness for like if they had said, okay, forget it, we'll give up on that and only push over here, it maybe could have gone a little bit better. But it's hard to know in the moment when you're first making your first moves, and once you get locked into this, then you got to make it worth your time. So you got to finish it off, and that meant that they didn't quite get as many points. So a little bit, I think, a little bit unfortunate, like positioning and like the way that the early game went for them. But otherwise, I think the rest of their moves made a lot of sense, and I think towards the end they started to make a comeback. So unfortunately, they couldn't quite catch up in the end. Although all in all, I think the game went really well. I think the teams played really well. I think this has been a really great round. Looking forward to the next round. Should be starting probably in a couple of weeks. We're still signups are open for anyone who's on the Titancraft server, and I'm really excited to see what comes next for the game.